Doom King Balerdroch
is a really good card in the current Trinity metagame, which is what we're discussing today on Trinity Weekly. As you can see, in first place we have the Card Ripper playing Zombies. Yeah, Zombies, no one really expected this deck would do anything at all. No one thought this was a deck. But people have been playing it for a little while. Apparently we've reached a close to optimal list. I'm not too convinced so much of these card choices, but it's really cool. All of the top 8 was full of decks that people thought were like fine, but not sort of like game-breaking, and then just the top 2 was Roids versus Zombies, like Roids versus Zombies. Really fun to watch. You can watch the entire stream down below. Getting into the actual list, Doom King Balerdroch with Vampire FRAULEIN. Really strong, just combination of cards. This is the bread and butter of like your zombie deck. Getting into it for the actual card choices, we've got a few engines floating around here. Dangers, which I believe have been cut from the more optimal builds. These were mostly there, I think, for the Graceful Charity synergy. Getting into that in a second. Vampires themselves were pretty strong. You want Kingdom out for your Balerdroch. You can search Kingdom with, I think it's this one. You can mill it with one of your like billion millers. You've got Unizombie, you've got the Samurai thing, you've got Gozuki. We're also playing the Shiranuis here, with multiple Shiranuis, because we're playing multiple Swallow Slash, which is just an obscenely powerful card if you look at it in context. Tribute a zombie, target 2 cards on the field, destroy them, then you banish probably just this guy from your deck to destroy another card in the field. It's even stronger than the like Fire Lake from the BA, which is quite a good choice for a Trinity here, I think. The other Trinity, as we mentioned, is Graceful Charity. Not too sure how I feel about this card, but it's pretty strong. In the finals, I think you drew it twice, turn 1, which is definitely very good. And it's one of the first instances of a semi-forbidden card actually like seen play in like a real deck. Semi-forbidden is quite high up, it's quite a lot to ask if you're playing generic cards. If Graceful Charity was very searchable, then it would see a lot more play. Here, you have to hard draw it. There is really no way to get your Graceful Charity otherwise. And you can't, like, abuse it much. No one's playing Magician of Faith, so it's not like Charity and Go Control. But it's a +2. You're drawing 3, discarding 2, and then drawing 2 more, and then your Charity goes to the grave. And especially in a deck playing Dangers, playing a shit ton of stuff that wants to be in the graveyard, Charity's looking to be a pretty good card. I'm interested to see if we'll see this in other lists. I really want to know if this is like an optimal choice to make, because Charity itself is a really cool card. You can get a ton of advantage. I think it's not going to be like too overpowered. It's been around for a while and no one seemed to have broken it before now. We'll see. There's not really much else to comment on, it's just generic bread and butter zombies. Getting into Balerdroch a bit later, that's kind of like the star of this episode. We also see Time Thief Redoer here. I hate that card. In second place, we've got rank 10 Roids, which is an interesting deck to say the least. I don't think anyone guessed that Roids would do anything this tournament. Featuring literal actual Steamroid, the man himself. Yeah, the Roids aren't really the big part of this though. If you look at this more closely, after a couple seconds you can realise there are only like, what, 5 Roids. If you don't count the Speed Roids. The main part of this is, it's just kind of machine good stuff. We're playing a solid rank 10 engine, which was also the 3rd deck place. We're playing Cyber Dragon, which is an out to Redoer, it's just generic really strong stuff. Trinity and Fortress I'm not too happy with. Trinities and Urgent Schedules looks very strong. This is just your like 1 card rank 10 train sort of thing. Playing Doro, which just wins games. Yeah, this is your bread and butter sort of like machine-y deck. The Roids themselves actually put in some work though. Armoroid is a banishing heavy storm if you contribute it, which is pretty good. Espressuroid is a ton of advantage you can gain. Mixeroid is like fine, it's for wind as well. Yeah, this deck did fine, it's in second place. I suggest you watch the replay to actually see what it does, because there's a lot of sort of complex interactions here. Saw a lot of Fortress being used, which maybe makes it fine as a Trinity, I'm not too sure. Fortress as itself is just kind of a really strong boss card that you can sort of just sit on for a while. This is Lieutenant Labcoat's trains, featuring Charity, which is interesting, and Pot of Greed, which I don't really like. We compare Charity to Pot of Greed. Pot of Greed is a +1. Charity is a +2, considering that you discard 2 cards, which you want to always do. But even considering Pot of Greed in conjunction with something like Urgent Schedule, Pot of Greed is 2 random cards that may or may not help you. An Urgent Schedule is 2 cards that you know what they are, and they are going to help you because they're good cards. I would like to see this deck play more like Watrain's deck, play more Urgent Schedules. He said after testing that Pot of Greed didn't really do too well, so if you're a new player watching this, don't put Pot of Greed in your deck unless, like, you've got a very, very good reason to. This list is pretty interesting. We're seeing Time Lords. This is more like Time Lord Trains. Is it called Time Lord Trains? No, just rank 10 ABC. Time Lords themselves are really strong. Zaphion's really strong against Pendulum, good against any back row. Camion is just outs a thing. Both pretty good. Time Maiden, there's no really good way to mill it, so I don't feel like this is the best use of the Time Lord package, but he is using them as level 10 monsters for trains, which is quite strong. Macharon I don't really like, and Card of Save Return I'm not really a fan of, but he came third and I didn't, so props to him. Also seeing ABC here. ABC got hit on the last list. It's cool to see that the deck is still doing things. Some people have been calling for an ABC hit to actually ban the fusion monster. Not really sure if it's that powerful. Scientist is semi-forbidden also kind of hit the deck a bit more, so I think it's fine where it is. This is definitely an interesting deck to play. If you're a fan of Liber and Dora and sort of just big chunguses, this is probably a deck for you. Finally, in 4th place, we have Poltergeist, which is, you know, a deck that's in every format. He's playing Pankratops, he's playing all his shit. Only interesting thing to note here that's super different from any other list, main deck Chaos Trap Hole, which is, I think, a really good meta call. And also Phantasme main deck. We discussed Phantasme in episode 4, I think. And yeah, it made its way into the main deck of a really good deck. Not that surprising. I think it's especially good in Altergeist because games are going to go longer, so it's more likely that they'll actually make their Link monster. Aside of that, I'm still not too convinced on Phantasme as a card. He's playing it in conjunction with Max C. I don't know if he actually mentions anything here. Not really. In general, I think it's a alright card. We're also seeing Redoer in the extra deck here, because it's Redoer. Anyway, the main bulk of this episode I wanted to talk about was Balerdroch. What it is, how to beat it, and how to play with it. Balerdroch is different in Trinity to the TCG, as most things are. In this case, it's because Zombie World is forbidden. Zombie World makes this card do very different things in Trinity. So during the standby phase, if it's in the graveyard and there's a field spell on either field, you can summon it. This effect activates, so you cannot use Chaos Trap Hole in response to it. Once per chain, when a zombie monster activates effect, you can banish a monster from the field or either, I was going to say GY, I'm reading off screen, graveyard. The fact that you can hit anything from the graveyard can hit there. Anything that's in the graveyard that they were going to set up with. If they discarded a Silent Boots, you can kill it. If they discarded a Scum, you can just banish it. Really strong. You're always going to be getting value out of this. He's in conjunction with Fraulein, which I have on the screen left or right of me. You can trigger the effect when you summon Fraulein from the hand, because it activates in the hand, it's got a colon. This guy's really strong. The way to out this guy mostly is, I wouldn't advise that you kill field spells. So if we look at the Card Ripper's deck, he was playing Zombie World and Chicken Game. Chicken Game is not really a thing that's good with Balerdroch, because you can just pay 1,000 life points to pop their Chicken Game, which is probably what you should be doing anyway with Chicken Game. Zombie World is a bit different because it's like easier to search, but even then, you can still pretty easily just MST it, Nightmare Phoenix it, whatever. I'd really advise that you play Bottomless to get around this, or you play Dynamiscus to kill this. If you're playing things like DD Crow and Called by the Grave, which should already be in your sideboards, they also deal with Balerdroch pretty well. If you can just banish this guy, he's gone for good. If you can banish him face down with like Eater of Millions, Co-Forbidden, that's even better. Note that you're rarely going to kill this guy by battle, and even if you had a bigger guy, they can probably just banish it. Fraulein makes it so all their zombies can't be killed by battle unless they're on low life points, so I wouldn't really advise doing that too much. I also wouldn't suggest playing Cosmic Cyclone against zombies unless you really need the banish. There's nothing that the banish does that anything else doesn't do, and on top of that, paying 1,000 life points when their Fraulein can sort of just burn you for potentially up to 3k damage every turn Your main focus should really just be to banish the Balerdroch. If you are playing zombies, the way you get around this is by playing Different Dimension Reincarnation. Don't know how good this is, but I quite like it. Which can resummon your Balerdroch, and then if it dies it goes back to the graveyard where you can keep resummoning it. My light went out when recording this, but it's a good thing that I'm a Knight Assailant. This deck is not playing Balerdroch, it's not zombies, it's not roids, it's not rank 10 trains, it's not Redoer, though it does play Redoer. This is Subterra Succession, which is the other really good thing of this metagame. Succession is got a lot of text. You send a monster from your hand to the graveyard, and then you can add either any flip monster from your deck to your hand with the same attribute, or if you send a flip you can add any monster with the same attribute but a lower level, which is something that people need eye exams for because they always get that messed up. But it's really strong. We can do it every turn, and after we use Succession it just sets itself again, which is quite good. We're playing 3 Succession, and Trap Trick to search for Succession, and Lilith to search Succession and Trap Trick. So we get this really often. You can even search Lilith with like Scam and Sangan and stuff. We pretty much always get this by like turn 2, turn 3 at the latest. On top of that, we're playing kind of like an alt win con. It's the very gimmicky Knight Assailant, Dark Crusader OTK. So Knight Assailant's limited in the TCG more or less for this reason. If it's sent from your hand to the graveyard, mandatory effect activates, add any flip from your graveyard to your hand except itself. But it's not except Knight Assailant, it's just you can add another copy of Knight Assailant. So we have infinite discard fodder. The only really good way to use this is through Dark Crusader. Send a Dark from a hand to the graveyard, make him gain 400 attack, keep doing the loop, he gains a trillion attack for game. Normally this is really gimmicky and kind of inconsistent. In this deck not so much. Succession searches every combo piece, Knight Assailant and the Knight Assailant, and Shadow Beast who can then search Dark Crusader. We can search any piece of this deck at any time. If we need to DD Crow an opponent's graveyard, we can do that. If we need to set up Redoer, which we do quite a lot, we can easily search for Armageddon Knight. It's really good. If there's opponent's got back row, we can search for Shadow Dragon. We can search for Lilith to set up another Succession. It's really strong. Knight Assailant's got another important effect here, which is it's Man-Eater Bug when you set it, which is actually kind of relevant because that's an out to Redoer. I've killed many a Redoer this way. The other good thing that Knight Assailant is good for is Dark Factory more production. So with Factory in the field, and Succession, and Knight Assailant, which happens a fair often, discard Knight Assailant to Factory, draw a card, Knight Assailant, add back Assailant. Then we use Succession to get another card, add back Assailant, and you can do this every single turn of the game. So until they Twin Twisters you, you're very happy. We're playing Recall, and Providence, and Divine Wrath, and Chaos Trap Hole, all just to get rid of Redoer. I hate that card. Probably don't need to go all in on this. Divine Wrath is fine, because we've got a lot of good discard. You can discard Knight Assailant. Providence is kind of just a better version of the same card, and Recall, I'm happy to use this against Redoer, but I'm not happy to use it against a lot of other things, so this is maybe the first one I'll take out, I'm not sure. Don't know how good these cards are, just testing them. Got 3 board wipes. I've taken Needle Sealing from Watrain's list. Dynamiscus, as I mentioned, is really important. I think this is the best card of this metagame. Discarding is essentially free here. We trigger Shadows as well, so it's really strong. Banish anything, really good. Pantanite stuff is mostly there because of Redoer. Sword is also an out to Redoer. If you attack with 1600 or more attack, and then in the damage step you use Sword, it kills their monster. It's pretty good. Lance does a similar thing. It also protects our Dark Crusader from, I don't know, Torrential or Breakthrough Skill or whatever. Generally this deck just gains a ton of advantage, and then either wins through having more cards than your opponent, and then just giving up, or through actually doing your Dark Crusader combo. This is not an optimal build at all, as most of my deck of the week things are, but it's a really fun deck, and I'd like to improve this to the point of making it pretty good. If you have any comments, please do comment down below. I'm in desperate need of your help. If you have any more outs to Redoer that I haven't thought of, please also comment them down below. Otherwise, till next time, stay groovy!